Oh my god. Oh my god. Just when you thought it couldn't get worse for AEW, they get rid of the only guy who was bringing in any sort of money, CM Punk. Jade Cargill is leaving. And now WWE has John Cena and The Rock and probably more. Oh my, it's laughable at this point. It's actually laughable. 2 years ago, I used to be one of those people that was just defending AEW no matter what. Anytime something good happened in WWE 2 years ago, I was like angry about it. Tony Khan, I'm realizing now, isn't a great booker. He was better back in 2021, back in 2019, when I feel like he was more excited about AEW. This whole Collision card. Look, okay, to be fair, Bryan Danielson and Claudio versus Ricky Starks and Big Bill, that's a fine match, right? That match makes sense. And then, of course, we've got FTR versus the Iron Savages for the Tag Team Championships. Obviously, because the Iron Savages deserve a shot at the Tag Team Championships, because everybody knows and loves the Iron Savages. Who are the Iron Savages? And then the one we're all here to see, the Hardys, in 2023 versus the Righteous. So the Righteous and the Iron Savages are two teams that I've never heard of in my life. Maybe I'm just, every time they're on TV, you know, I'm getting a snack or something, so I don't know who these guys are. I swear I've never heard of them. Are they making their debuts? But I'm here to tell you how AEW could be fixed. Theoretically, how I would fix AEW, because it's not dead yet. AEW isn't dead yet. It's dying, and if something isn't done about it, it will be dead. But right now, we still have a couple of lifelines. Now, was last night's SmackDown the best episode of SmackDown that I've ever seen? Maybe. If we get Rock and Roman at WrestleMania, first of all, Cody's never finishing that story. But also, it's a good, WrestleMania 40. Four decades of WrestleMania. It makes sense for it to be The Rock versus Roman, and then Cody can win at Mania 41. That makes sense. And if I'm WWE, I'm doing that but everybody in the world knows who The Rock is. That should be your headliner. How is AEW supposed to compete with this? How can AEW clap back? Very simple. And everyone's going to hate me when I say this, but Tony Khan needs to book AEW as if it's a television show, not a wrestling show, if that makes sense. Max Landis said it perfectly when he described what WWE was. WWE is not a wrestling show. WWE is a show about a wrestling show, where there's backstage drama, larger than life characters, rivalries going on. That's what it is. That's what professional wrestling is. And AEW used to be that. And what I mean by that is when they didn't have this over-bloated roster and they needed to prove something to the fans, they had Kenny Omega out there every week. They had Jon Moxley out there every week. They had Pac. What is going on? I can't think of one story besides MJF and Adam Cole that is currently going on in AEW. And I know there are some, but off the top of my head, I can't think of any because the product is so boring and it's so stale. Oh, okay, Swerve and Adam Page there. I thought of one more. But that just started, so we'll see where that goes. But Tony Khan needs to book AEW as if it's a television show, right? That's what the creative team at WWE has been doing forever. You book it like it's an actual television show. Let's think of Cobra Kai for a second, right? There's fights going on in Cobra Kai. You got the good guys, you got the bad guys, you got the people who are kind of in between, you got the older guys who are the legends, you got the younger guys who are up and coming, and you root for these characters, and you need to do the same thing with professional wrestling. But can you just, let's picture this. So let's say there's a Cobra Kai episode, right? And in this episode, Daniel and Johnny are trying to get, Terry Silver, and they're trying to, stop Cobra Kai, right? That's basically the whole plot of the last season, right? Season 5. So let's say the beginning of the show does that. But then imagine the show cuts to this weird side plot where Dimitri is trying to run this lemonade stand to raise money, and then it never gets brought up ever again in the history of the show. And there's also lack of stars in AEW. Kenny Omega is sometimes not there for a couple of weeks. The Bucks missed a week. Right? Bryan Danielson was off for injury, I understand that. I mean, what if there was a Cobra Kai episode that was just about Dimitri and Hawk? At the end, you get like this random thing going on with Johnny, and Johnny kind of comes back at the end for a little bit. Like, nobody would watch that. You know what I mean? Weekly shows don't flow into one another. They used to. Back in 2019, when they didn't have all these stars to worry about, when they had a smaller roster and needed to use that to their advantage. They had a bigger roster in 2021, and then Bryan Danielson came to AEW. CM Punk was there, Adam Cole was there, and that's kind of the equivalent of Cobra Kai going, you know what? Let's bring in Terry Silvers. Let's bring in Shozen. Let's bring in these legacy characters that everybody knows. But it's not 2021 anymore, it's 2023. This isn't being booked like a television show. Say what you want about dream matches and about, oh, this guy has so much talent, let's get him on the card. No, let's not get him on the card. The reason why Adam Page versus Kenny Omega had such a hype around it wasn't because, oh, Kenny Omega is putting out an open challenge and Hangman Adam Page accepts. Oh boy, here we go. It's not because they're both great wrestlers, which they are. It was because there was this long-term story attached to it. Since the beginning of AEW, that story had been brewing. Since before AEW, that story had been brewing. Quite honestly, a lot of the matches for Grand Slam are really interesting, but they would be 10 times more interesting if we had been building to this for weeks, for months, at least for some of the matches. But there really is no point in ranting. Tony Khan already said that he's not going to listen to the fans anymore. We've been asking Tony for a better women's division for 4 years. That hasn't changed. If you book your television show like it's a television show, people are going to be watching. Like, AEW just has no buzz right now because nothing's going on in AEW right now. There's no buzz right now, man. WWE just brought The Rock back. And they have John Cena now. Pat McAfee was there. And that's pretty much it. Let me know what you would do to fix AEW. Do you think Edge coming to AEW would have any impact at this point? Do you think Mercedes would have any impact? I don't know. Let me know. Good night.